Hello, and how's it going, Elder Scrolls Nation? It is Skullzi here with the latest and the greatest Bethesda Games Studios news. The bit of news that we're going to be talking about today is some Starfield speculation about something that I am almost certain will be in Starfield, and I have some evidence which are direct quotes from Bethesda Game Studios from both the past and the present that support this theory. I don't have any quotes from the future. My crystal ball broke, my cat knocked it off the fucking desk. I was like running across the room in slow motion, and he was doing that cat thing where he's just looking at you in the eyes and gently nudging it off the desk with his paw. So no more future quotes from Todd Howard. But anyway, let's not waste any more time and let's get right to the information. So one of the main things people are wondering about in regards to Starfield and the Elder Scrolls 6 is how upgraded will the creation engine be for the next generation of games, and what will that allow in terms of gameplay improvements, because let's all be honest here. Bethesda can't even let us use ladders in the game. Bethesda sometimes lets a bottle of wine get stuck in a table, or food to constantly be floating off of plates. And man, you better never try to put a book on a bookshelf like a normal person, because that shit's not gonna work. So let's see what Bethesda can do with the next generation of games, but don't worry, I am almost certain that the game engine and stuff like this have been one of the main focuses of Bethesda recently, because Todd Howard has long said that Starfield will push the boundaries when it comes to next-gen open-world RPG games. But what these exact boundaries are yet to be announced. However, I am pretty sure that I know what some of these boundaries actually are and exactly what Todd Howard meant by push the boundaries. First, I think that Starfield will have absolutely no loading screens. That is something Bethesda Game Studios has tried to do a couple times in the past, even as far back as Skyrim, but ultimately they had to leave that idea behind due to technical limitations and game engine constraints. Now, this is just speculation. I don't have any exact evidence to support my no loading screens theory. It's not the main point I'm talking about in this video, but it does go along with what I'm about to say next. I expect Starfield to not only have multiple planets with different interiors and dockable space stations with no loading screens, but I also expect Starfield to have vehicles. Several types of vehicles ranging from planetary rovers and stuff like the Mako or the Nomad from Mass Effect to actual flyable spaceships and everything in between. And if we're lucky, maybe even a Scooty Puff Junior. But
just remember that Scooty Puff Juniors suck!
imagine an open-world Bethesda space RPG game where you can explore a planet and all of its caves and buildings without encountering a single loading screen. Then get onto your ship, choose another planet, fly to it, get out, and explore there as well. All without a single loading screen. Then someone sneaks up behind you and shoots you in the back of the head, all without a single loading screen. Oh, no loading screens! This would make the world feel more fluid and alive, connected and real, and in my opinion, it would be a true next-gen open-world RPG experience because you would feel like you are in an actual place, not limited by loading screens. Because it does take you out of the immersion a bit when you can't just walk into a cave and you have to wait 40 seconds and get up and go pee and then come back to the world because now you're in the cave, and you get what I'm saying. It would just make the world so much more immersive and even feel more massive, which is exactly what Bethesda Game Studios wants, which is exactly why I think they're going for the no loading screen option, because it pairs right along with the vehicle thing as well. Now, like I said, I have a couple small pieces of evidence to support my vehicle theory. First off, this is something I have talked about before, but for those who don't know, Bethesda and Todd Howard attempted to make a game like Starfield called the 10th Planet way back in the late 80s and early 90s. The scope and ambition of this game was way too grand and expensive and kind of impossible for technology at the time. It would have taken thousands of developers, thousands of hours to make this game, so Todd Howard had to cancel the project. However, a game like this has been on his mind and in his vision for a long time and is actually his dream project. Here is evidence A, a picture of young Todd Howard with glints and dreams of Starfields in his eyes. Just joking, that's not evidence, but here is some evidence. Todd Howard was still dreaming about creating what ultimately would become Starfield years after the cancellation of the 10th Planet project. In a leaked email I have between Todd Howard and a long-time game industry friend, he talks about still wanting to create a space RPG game. Also, Also, shortly after the 1990s version of Starfield was cancelled, Christopher Weaver, the founder of Bethesda, was interviewed by the Rolling Stone about the cancelled game and a few other Bethesda projects. He says there were some internal games that were killed that had great promise. Many times the games got killed because of external stupid reasons. Not enough money to make 3 games at once, allocating resources and people. There were some great projects. We had a few very cool space games, one in particular with massive docking stations and vehicles and ships that were phenomenal. One of the chief programmers lost his visa and had to go back to Denmark. With all these game companies, you have to realize it's proportionality. You have to have more wins than losses. Bethesda was generally fortunate there. Part of it was we tried to keep our mistakes the least costly as possible. We weren't always successful, but we were able to continue and prosper, which is awesome because, to be honest, if they would have went through with the 10th Planet project, it probably would have bankrupted Bethesda Game Studios. Moar wouldn't save the company back then, and it was this genius from everyone involved, the development genius of Todd Howard and the executive genius of Christopher Weaver, that made Bethesda what it is today. But anyway, you can see there is evidence of Todd Howard still wanting to make Starfield way back as much as 15 years ago, and in that game he had a grand vision of multiple vehicles and ships. And one thing that stood out is not only were ships mentioned here, but vehicles were mentioned as almost a separate thing entirely, meaning that they had plans for both spaceships and vehicles to be driven around on the planet's surface. That definitely means that vehicles and spaceships were a clear important part of Todd Howard's vision when creating a game like Starfield. I don't see Todd Howard developing Starfield if there wouldn't be any chance of vehicles or spaceships being in the game, as that would not be the obvious vision he has for Starfield, and as seen in the past and proven here, if his vision cannot be met, then the game simply won't be developed because Todd Howard wants his visions to be accurate to what he wants, and he doesn't want to waste money on anything else. Now don't worry, because I have more recent information that supports this as well. During post-E3 2018 interviews and during the No Clips Fallout 76 documentary, which was a masterpiece by the way, Todd Howard was asked about vehicles in Fallout and possibly Fallout 76. He stated that they experimented with vehicles in the past, but they ran into an issue with the game engine not being able to render the world at a speed that the player would be traveling well in vehicles. So unless vehicles were pointlessly slow, they would break the game. And Todd Howard has been saying that the reason games like Starfield and even The Elder Scrolls 6 haven't been developed yet is because the technology to create such games didn't exist yet. Next-gen gaming consoles and technology is right around the corner though, and as stated in the No Clips Fallout 76 documentary, the game engine that's being used for Fallout 76 can now render the game world 16 times farther and with even more detail than ever, meaning that technology exists now. So that technology will be even more advanced by the time that Starfield comes out, meaning that vehicles can definitely be in the game, and that means that now is the best time more than ever for Todd Howard to unveil his long-awaited masterpiece, his dream game, Starfield to the world. Now I do have one more small piece of evidence before I close the video out that suggests that Starfield will definitely have vehicles, but I can't show you any actual proof of this, so I was waiting until the end to share it. Now I am in contact with a friend that works for a studio within ZeniMax. I can't show the emails because they've asked me not to, and because they don't want me to risk their identity going out, because they do give me some good pieces of information and some leaks from time to time. But this person does work for a studio within ZeniMax. It is not Bethesda Game Studios, but this studio has been contracted to help Bethesda Game Studios with vehicle design, physics, animation, and game implementation. He didn't tell me exactly what game this is. It could be Fallout 76 just as much as Starfield, but if I had my guess, I'd say a futuristic open-world space RPG set in a universe where there is obviously space travel would have a higher chance at having working vehicles than a post-apocalyptic nuclear Earth. Now, as always, I want to know what you have to say about all of this. Do you think vehicles will be in Starfield, and do you think I provided enough evidence to support this? Let me know down in the comments below, and if your comment wins the internet, it may be featured in a future video. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to stay in the know about Bethesda Game Studios news, next-gen gaming news, and some news that has even almost gotten my channel taken down in the past. And follow me on Twitter for the latest channel updates, random shit about me, and the occasional meme, and check out my Twitch channel where I should be streaming very, very soon once I could get a weekly streaming schedule in line. I'm just trying to align everything with my 9-to-5 job, my daily YouTube uploads, and everything else. I really want to start streaming soon. One reason I haven't is because I'm waiting a little bit to see if I can replace my shitty webcam before I start streaming again. But anyway, check me out on Twitch. I'm a Twitch affiliate over there as well, and I have some awesome stuff planned for the future, and something I haven't announced before but I've had for a while, I do have a community Discord where I'm usually there all the time. We're talking about a lot of awesome stuff. It's pretty active. Check for the link down in the description for that below as well. And if you want to have your hand in providing future content and standing as a warrior amongst the community by defending the channel from bullshit video takedowns, then subscribe to the community on Patreon, where you can earn unique and awesome awards and get access to behind the scenes content and information about my future videos. And as always, thank you for watching. Be sure to tune in next time when it turns out that Starfield's race of special aliens all look like clones of Todd Howard and just run around saying it just works.
Bye, have a great time.